guys, Rajesh Gopinath this side. Thank you so much for your great response to my first series of videos, which was talking about the lights. We have discussed about soft lights, we have discussed about harsh light, we have discussed about how the soft lights and hard lights are created. Also, we have discussed about what are the different kind of diffusers which the photographers prefer to create soft and harsh lights. Now let's talk about the heart and soul of photography, which is nothing other than camera. So, when we talk about a camera, have you ever thought when this camera might have invented, or what could have been the real trigger to the human being to invent a device like a camera? To know the history about camera, we have to go to around 1000 years before the Christ, which means it will be almost 3000 years from the 2020. So, human beings might have seen a lot of landscape, birds flying, animals, sea, hills, and everything they might have seen, and they might have got really, really fascinated about all this landscape and all this beauty which is spreading all across the world. He might have definitely thought at that point of time, how can he record this beauty? How can he record and save this beauty for his future and his future generations? That might be the most primitive thought about photography. Yes, to record the reality and save it for the future. And way back in 400 BC, which means around 2400 years from now, the most primitive concept of camera was created. And from then till now, the concept of photography has never changed. The concept of camera has never changed. It was called as camera obscura. And what is camera obscura? It's very interesting to know. So camera obscura was nothing but a dark room, a dark chamber, where there will be one small hole on a side of the wall, and when the light passes through the small hole, there is an inverted image forming on the other side of the wall. That was very exciting and that was very interesting for him. And that is the real beginning of photography. And in fact, in human race, that was the first original invention of any kind of optics. And in camera obscura, there was no recording which was happening. It was only displaying the image. In 15th century AD to 17th century AD, this camera obscura, the concept was beautifully used by the painters and artists of that time. How did the painters use it? They kept a subject or a model outside the dark room, and when the light was coming inside the dark room through the small hole, the artist or the painters used to get a inverted image of the model or the subject on the wall, and they used to paint it and they used to in 18th century, the invention of photoluminescent substances were done. What is a photoluminescent substance? Photoluminescence is one such substance which is very sensitive to light. More the light is falling on the substance, more the sensitivity. Lesser the light on the substance, lesser the sensitivity. This photoluminescent substance was coated or plated on a metal plate and which was inserted into the camera obscura. What happens when the light is coming inside the dark room or a dark chamber? The photoluminescent plate used to absorb it. So which means the recording really started. Moving forward, this photoluminescent plate was transformed into films, black and white films. And later on, the black and white films gave away the way to color films. And in 1975, an engineer from the Kodak company invented the first ever digital camera. And the most funniest thing was he was fired out of Kodak company immediately. The reason stated was this particular new invention of digital camera would kill their existing film business. In 1999, the first mobile phone with a camera was launched. And after that, we all know what happened. 2010, what happened 2015, what happened 2020. We are standing in 2020. And the moment when the camera was brought into a mobile phone, it became so popular that anybody and everybody can afford to have a mobile phone, and the photography became so extensively used, and it is approximated at 380 billion photographs are taken in 1 year through mobile phones. That's a huge scale which camera industry has already taken. So guys, let's quickly move on to what are the different components in a camera. As I told you in the beginning, the basic concept of photography, the basic concept of camera has never changed. The way camera obscura was talking all about a dark chamber, the current camera also have a dark chamber, which is the camera body. So what is the next component for a camera? In earlier days, it was a film. Now it is a digital sensor or an image sensor. So what is the purpose of an image sensor? The light which is falling on the image sensor or a film, it just records. That's it. Now let's move on to the next component, which is lens. We might have seen different types of lens which a photographer may be using. But why is this lens used for? There are two purposes for a lens. The first purpose for a lens is to focus. The second purpose being control of light. So I'll explain it to you. So when the light is entering into the camera body, there is all probability that the image, the inverted image may fall in front of sensor or may fall behind the sensor. Either ways, the picture will not be clear. So here comes the use of a lens. A lens is attached in front of the camera or in front of the camera body to ensure the focus of the image is perfectly falling on the image sensor or the film. The second use of a lens is to control the light. Inside the lens, there are multiple aperture blades which has been installed into a lens. The more the aperture is opening, more light will fall into the lens and more light will come into the sensor. The lesser the aperture is opening, the lesser the light will come into the camera and will fall on the image sensor. So these are the basic two functions of a lens. Another very important component in a lens is shutter. So what is a shutter and why is it used for? The moment the photographer is removing the lens cap, the light starts immediately coming into the lens, and again the lens will definitely ensure the light is passing inside, lens will focus and pass the light inside. And obviously the image sensor will start recording it immediately. So where is the control for a photographer? The photographer needs to capture only when he decides and only up to what he decides and only up to the what duration he decides. So there need to be a control mechanism where the light is being completely blocked from hitting the image sensor. So there comes the shutter, and a shutter is exactly kept right in front of the image sensor, and the shutter will work only when the photographer triggers the shutter release button. Till then, the sensor will be completely covered and no light will be entering into the image sensor to start working. And the next important component for a camera is a mirror and a viewfinder. As we know, when the light is passing through the lens and entering into the camera, an inverted image is formed. But if you look through the viewfinder, we always see normal image. We never see an inverted image, right? How? But how? There is a mechanism which is kept inside the camera body, which is a mirror. What happens is when the light enters into the camera through the lens, it directly comes and hits on a mirror. This mirror is kept at a 45-degree angle upwards. And what happens is the moment the light is hitting the mirror, the light will reflect towards the top of the camera. So on top of the camera, inside the camera, there is something called a pentaprism which is kept. So this reflected light which is coming from the mirror will take a complete circuit through the pentaprism and the image is inverted again. Once the image is inverted, when it coming into the camera, and the same inverted image is inverted again when it hits the viewfinder. Twice the image is inverted, the image gets normal. That is how the photographer sees the correct image through the viewfinder. So let's understand how the camera operates. The moment the photographer is removing the lens cap, the light starts falling in and it hits the mirror, it goes to the pentaprism, and the photographer is getting a real-time image preview of the subject. And this is the time when he framed the image, when he composed the image, and finally he focused the image. Once the image is focused, by pressing the shutter release button half the way, he is ready to go. And he fires the button and he clicks the button. So once the shutter release button is pressed, Inside the camera, two activities happen simultaneously. The first activity is the mirror just flips up. So when the mirror flips up, the light directly surpasses the mirror and just go and hit the shutter. The second simultaneous activity, the shutter rolls open and the light will directly fall and hit the image sensor, and image sensor will record it immediately. Once the image is captured, the shutter closes and the mirror flips back to the original position. The image capturing was happening only in the duration of shutter opening and shutter closure. So once the image is captured by the sensor, please note it is a optical image. So the processor in the camera process the image and convert it into a digital image. So this particular digital image, the two copies are created. The first copy is directly sent to the SD card or memory card, and the second copy is directly sent to the rear display, and that is where we see the image. This is a whole process of capturing an image by a digital camera or any other camera. I'm sure that you would have got a basic idea about what is a camera and what's the brief history of a camera, what are the major components of a camera, and again how the camera operates when the photographer clicks the buttons. This is all for today. The next episode will be the most awaited episode. I'm for sure about it. Even I'm also very excited about doing that episode. It will be talking about different kinds of camera. Right from the mobile phone camera to the point and shoot camera to the bridge camera to the APS-C format camera, full frame camera, and the legendary medium format cameras. Along with that, we will be discussing about the lenses, different kind of lens, right from ultra wide angle lenses, then kit lenses, then we'll be talking about telephoto lenses, macro lenses, fixed lenses, and so on and so forth. There are different kinds of lens we'll be talking about. So wait for that video. Till then, stay safe, be at home. God bless you all. Thank you.